actually indestructible, physically indestructible and immortal.
Holy cow. So these guys came down pretty, they could kick some rear end, huh?
Right, they could. And so Satan and Lucifer and all his fallen angels, and anybody who wants to get the detailed story, just read the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch talks about all the fallen angels, what their ranks are, how they combined with Lucifer against God, and, of course, against in order to create a tyrannical regime here on this planet, okay? But that tyrannical regime was already in existence before Adam was placed in the garden, okay? And so, we're having this Shekinah glory, Adam and Eve were potentially immortal, okay? But
so he was here in immortal form so that he could actually fight this, because this was because Lucifer, or I guess the fallen angels, had to have a lot more strength than a normal everyday person.
And if you go into real archaeology, you find that there's bones of these giants all over the place. That these giants talked about in Genesis chapter 6, and the Nephilim, but they came in all sizes too. It's just that the giants were more impressive, and people remember the giants more than they do the 5 foot Nephilim, right? and 4 foot Nephilim. Okay,
no, they could cause more trouble, that's for sure.
Right, exactly. Because they tend, the 5 foot Nephilim tend to blend in, don't they?
Sure.
Whereas the 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot Nephilim tend to stick out.
Yeah, you could start going Nephilim hunting.
Right, exactly. And that's what happened. That's what the book of Judges says, that these giants were eventually, murdered, killed, slaughtered by the normal-sized people, mainly because they were very violent, and also because they ate up so much food, it took food away from the normal-sized people, so the normal-sized people ganged up on them. Yeah.
Did they try and eat other humans? I mean, did they try and eat them?
Yeah, the word cannibal derives from Cana and Baal. Cana meaning the Canaanites, and actually it's a word for Cain as well. Cain, and Baal is the god that the Canaanites worshipped,
which was wanting human sacrifice, I guess.
Exactly. So the word cannibal derives from Cain and Baal. Okay. So now getting back to Adam and Eve, what happened was that Eve, since she had this kind of glory, there was really no way that she could be harmed by one of these Nephilim. So she had to be tricked. That was the only way that they could get at. And of course Eve is the more vulnerable because Eve has a womb, right? And the book of Enoch clearly says that the fallen angel Gadrel, Gadrel, was ordered by Samael, the head angel, we call him Satan, to seduce Eve. Okay?
Really?
That's what he did. It says seduce. That's the word that's used, seduce. Okay? And seduce is a sexual act. Okay? Right. There's no apple. You can read all of Genesis. There's not one mention of an apple in Genesis. Okay? She was sexually seduced, and her offspring from that seduction was Cain. Okay?
Whoa. Okay.
All right? So we can trace the genealogy, the seed line of the Nephilim / Jews / Canaanites / fallen angels directly from Cain. The Bible gives us that genealogy, okay, in various different places. But the Cainites, or the descendants of Cain, became known as the Kenites, Kenites, Kenites.
Oh, with the K-E-N, okay. All right.
Right, so, and there are various spellings, okay. But Kenites, and that word literally means descendant of Cain, okay. So these descendants of Cain migrated over toward Canaan land. Okay, why? Well, because it was at the time, it was a very fertile area, okay, and they could grow food and they could have cattle and blah, 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 okay. And so they got there first. They got to Canaan land first. Later on, after the flood, one of Noah's grandson, Canaan, he left the company of his brethren, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, who were the direct sons of Noah. He left their company and joined up with these Kenites. Okay? And since he was well known to the Adamites of Noah, okay, because the Noahites were all Adamites. They weren't these fallen angel people. They were Adamites, okay? And so they called these Kenites from that moment on, they called them Canaanites after their lost brother, because he basically was a traitor to his own people and became a Canaanite. Okay, it became a Kenite. Mm-hmm. And so this is why the Adamites from that point forward referred to these Kenites as Canaanites. Okay. Then later on, we have an episode between Esau and Jacob, who were twin brothers, both born of Rebekah. Okay. And while they were in Rebekah's womb, they were actually fighting against each other in Rebekah's womb. Okay.
Why? Why would they do that?
Well, Rebekah asked God, well, why are my sons duking it out inside of me? This is crazy. Has this ever happened to a woman before? Apparently not. And probably not ever since either. So God answered her and he said, because 2 nations are in thy womb.
Oh, wow.
2 nations are in thy womb. Okay. Well, what happened later was that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, and he went and married into the Canaanites. He took 2 Hittite wives and an Ishmaelite wife, and he bred more Canaanites.
So he left the Anglo-Saxon culture.
That's right.
Went over with half-human culture.
That's right.
And so all the descendants of Esau,
yes,
are partially fallen angel.
There you go.
Okay, so then could these alien abductions that they're doing today be the same kind of event that was happening back then?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that the fallen angels still exist in the what we would call the 5th dimension or hyperspace or what have you. People who have followed these craft, that so-called UFOs. Have realized that these UFOs do not obey the typical laws of physics that we're aware of. They make, right-hand turns, sharp right-hand turns at warp speed, and they can go from a standstill to 1,000 miles an hour in a split second. How is it possible? Okay. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Bruce Caffey. Bruce Caffey was Australian airline pilot who just became fascinated with these things, with these UFOs. And, being an airline pilot, he was able to observe a lot of them. And he found there was one location, I think it was in New Zealand, where he saw some of these craft going straight down, diving underneath the sea, and disappearing into the water. Yes, yeah. So he observed this a number of times. And then what he realized was that these craft are following certain trajectories. And he started mapping out, yes.
Like ley lines that Carrie was talking about, maybe?
Exactly. Ley lines. You hit it right on the head, okay? And so that these UFOs were traveling along the ley lines.
Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And these ley lines have intersection points. The ley line is pretty much a square grid, a rectangular grid. Okay, so, at least locally, planetary wide, it's more like a, because the planet is a sphere.
Right. It's like a net.
It's like a net. It's like a net. Okay.
Okay.
And that the craft travel on these ley lines at supernatural speeds. Wow. And then what Bruce Caffey found, was that the laws of physics don't apply along these ley lines. There's different rules. The rules are different.
Can I run faster on them?
Right. And so, yeah, you can. And in fact, it's interesting because I was doing some research on who was the psychic who foresaw all this stuff.
Edgar Cayce.
Edgar Cayce.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It turns out he didn't develop his psychic powers until he moved. I think it was Virginia City. But that city